So we've just jumped Oz first into 2019, and a new year means fresh opportunities to take glamorous pics of your decadent lifestyle to impress total strangers online and give the old self-worth a bit of a boost. But to really make an impact on the social medias, you'll want to wield one of the very best smartphone cameras around. Especially if you're trying to shoot sexy looking night shots in low light conditions, or capture 4K home movies worthy of Steven Spielberg himself. And that's why I've decided to round up the very best smartphone cameras that you could buy right now, all of which I've personally tested, reviewed and compared with their closest rivals. And don't forget, for more reviews, camera comparisons, things like that, the latest smartphone tech, to bash that subscribe button and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! Huawei Mate 20 Pro. Our favourite phone around right now is definitely Huawei's Mate 20 Pro. This beast is an absolute stunner, boasting meaty performance, fantastic features and of course that excellent tri-lens camera tech. Now, more of something doesn't always necessarily mean better, just look at the bloody Kardashians for God's sakes. But in the case of the Mate 20 Pro, those three camera lenses really do combine perfectly to perform impressive feats. That 40 megapixel primary shooter is ably backed by an ultra-wide angle 20 megapixel lens and an 8 megapixel telephoto snapper for exceptional zoom shots, so you're basically set for any occasion. Every picture you capture is packed with crisp, gorgeous detail, while Huawei's AI-branded scene recognition can really boost the look of your photos. Sweeped vistas or distant subjects, they all look bloody marvellous thanks to the Mate 20 Pro's versatility. Even more impressive is the excellent night mode, which grabs bright, long exposure snaps without the need for a tripod. And as for the video chops, well, Huawei has finally mastered image stabilization. Even at that 4K level, the results are bloody lovely. We also still get rather moist for the older Huawei P20 Pro, which once again boasts a tri-lens camera setup. Except this time around, that secondary lens is a monochrome snapper for capturing sharper detail in your everyday shots, rather than that wide-angle view. Check out my direct camera comparison between the Mate 20 Pro and the P20 Pro to see how the photo and video results really stack up. Sony Xperia XZ3 Premium. In a world filled with multi-lens smartphone snappers, Sony Mobile dares to be a little bit different. In fact, the first dual-lens camera phone that it released was the Sony Xperia XZ3 Premium, launched just a few short months ago. Besides that crazy 4K HDR-ready display, the undoubted highlight of the XZ3 Premium is definitely that slick motion eye shooter. The 19 megapixel primary lens combines deliciously with the 12 megapixel monochrome snapper to capture pixel perfect detail, while Sony's Orb ISP can produce bright, grain-free photos even in seriously low light. Huawei's night mode may still be the victor for evening shots, but the XZ3 Premium is still leaps ahead of most rivals with no gimmicks necessary. Video results are again exceptional, especially at that low light level. You can capture 4K HDR footage if you're super serious about your home movies, while super slow motion clips can also be grabbed at a stunning 960 frames per second, even at full HD resolution. Bonza. I've also still got very big love for the Xperia XZ3, Sony Mobile's latest flagship phone. The single lens snapper is still fantastic for capturing professional quality photos in pretty much any conditions. And meanwhile, video could once again be shot at 4K HDR level, or with that funky super slow motion effect. And both of these Sony phones, the Xperia XZ3 and the XZ2 Premium, can also create a terrifyingly realistic 3D model of your bonce using that camera tech, if that's the kind of kinky thing that you're into. LG G7. Like Huawei, LG has been absolutely obsessed of late, banging on about artificial intelligence. So once again, you get an AI scene recognition mode, which can capture great looking shots in pretty much any conditions. Those AI creds are debatable, of course, but what isn't under any doubt is the quality of the results. The LG G7's dual 16 megapixel camera can snatch great looking photos with bugger all effort on your part. And of course, that secondary ultra wide angle shooter matches the Mate 20 Pro for great looking architecture and vista snaps. Even LG's manual mode is fantastic, offering helpful advice to amateur photographers on how to achieve attractive photos in all kinds of challenging conditions, definitely one step beyond. Google Pixel 3 and Pixel 3 XL. One of the best bits of Google's pricey new flagships is undoubtedly that camera tech, even though things haven't really evolved much from the previous generation Pixel 2 handsets. Both the Pixel 3 and the Pixel 3 XL basically sport the same 12 megapixel rear snapper, and yes, it is just a single solitary lens in both cases. All the same, you'll grab great looking photos boasting accurate colours and sharp focus in pretty much any conditions, and even the portrait mode stuff comes out really nicely. This is a simple shooter through and through. You don't get the same huge selection of features and modes as with other camera phones that we've discussed, but the pixels will produce great looking memories with minimal fuss. Good news for selfie addicts as well. Around the front of the pixels you get a dual lens camera which can capture a wide angle snap on demand. That is especially handy if you want a shot of yourself in front of some touristy shenanigans, or you've got loads of friends who want to invade your selfie, like I don't. iPhone XS. Apple used to be the very best around when it came to smartphone snappers, and while its optics have been surpassed by various Android rivals, such as those discussed already, the iPhone XS is still very good for capturing your everyday life. At night time, the iPhone certainly lags behind the P20 Pro, the Xperia XZ3 Premium, and more affordable rivals as well, but in decent light you will end up with highly realistic imagery production. And unlike the still not very affordable iPhone XR, the XS does boast a secondary telephoto lens, so you can grab a close-up detailed photo of a distant subject, no worries. We really can't fault the video capture either, at up to 4K resolution with 60 frames per second, complete with silky smooth image stabilization. And last and kind of least, the Samsung Galaxy Note 9. Samsung's recent flagship phones definitely lack that evolution shown by some of its closest rivals, but the cameras are still good enough to snap great looking shots of your everyday existence, not to mention being seriously feature dense. Like the iPhone XS, you get a secondary telephoto lens to back up the 12 megapixel primary shooter, and they do a solid job in combination, while all of the usual bonus modes are of course present and correct. And then there is of course the killer Note 9 feature, the ability to take selfies using that S Pen stylus. Innovation, yay! So that's our selection of the best smartphone snappers that you can buy right now as we head into 2019. But of course all of these phones do have one other thing in common, and that is the fact that they're all premium devices with a rather steep asking price. Even when discounted, they'll still cost you hundreds and hundreds of pounds, which is definitely not great news if you're a skinflinty pinch penny. But don't rush off to leave a disgusted comment down below just yet, because we will be rounding up our pick of the very best budget-friendly smartphone cameras very shortly as well. In fact, hopefully in the next day or so, if I can ever get around to stop drinking the Christmas beer that we've still got stacked up. So don't forget to poke that subscribe button and ding that notifications bell to be the first to know when that goes live, and have yourselves a lovely day, people. Love you, bye!